You, of course, are listening to the MHA podcast. Why in the world would you play Isaiah McKenzie over your third-round pick, T. Higgins? Why? I like any quarterback that can make Will Fuller look good.
I love it. I think he's a top 20 receiver.
I mean, he is the Jamar Chase whisperer.
Oh, hell yes. Oh, my God.
You know, everybody loves Lamar Jackson.
Hated it.
I trust Derek Carr.
Come on. For real?
I know why you did. It's because you're crazy.
It's still the week and the games aren't even over yet. It's great. It's fantastic.
Fantastic.
It's fantastic.
Patrick Mahomes. Looks so good. Kyle Pitts was bad. Stank.
It's not my shebang. Justin Jefferson.
So good.
We could call him Russell Wilson if you want.
Ooh. Well done, sir. That is good stuff. All of those guys have more fantasy points than Tom Brady. I'm laughing, but I'm crying at the same time. It's terrible. All right, time to get into week 2 here on the MHA podcast. We have 2 2-0 teams, 6 1-1 teams, 2 0-2 teams, and a team that has a record of 1-0-1 and one that's 0-1-1. That's right, we had a tie this past weekend. Cool. Cooper's Cousins and Eaton W's battled to a 1-0-2 tie. We'll talk about that more in the recap. Isn't fantasy football fun, guys? I'm 0-2, so I'm not having any fun. But how are you guys doing on this Tuesday evening?
Yeah, got myself a win. Feeling good.
Todd's feeling good. Mikey, how you feeling? You scored a lot of points and lost just like me this week.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I mean, we asked for a lot of points after last week, and I think we got it.
Yeah, there were some higher scores this week and a lot to talk about. Some good, some bad, some ugly. But before we get to all of that, let's get into some news.
I don't understand what the news is. It's just like, hey, here's a bunch of you can't fix that happened that was horrible.
And there was some horrible news. We've seen some season-ending injuries already to some high-value fantasy players. Aaron Rodgers, of course, J.K. Dobbins, and then last night, Nick Chubb lost for the season, had a pretty gruesome leg injury. I haven't seen it yet other than like a quick picture, but I didn't see the whole twisty-turny, which would just twist and turn my stomach and throw up whatever I was eating that night. But Nick Chubb lost for the season, has to get surgery on that knee. So Jerome Ford could be the number one waiver wire pickup this week. He looked pretty good last night, although Kareem Hunt, which is also part of the news, could be back with the Browns. Obviously, he has a history with them and left because he wanted more money, and now he could be back. So, quick question for you guys. Jerome Ford or Kareem Hunt, who are you guys going to try to pick up, Mikey? Or who should be picked up first? Maybe it's a better question based on whoever waiver number you guys have, but who should be picked up first?
Jerome Ford should be picked up first. He's already on the team. You've already seen him. Like Kareem Hunt, if he does come back, he hasn't played at all yet this year. It's going to take him a couple of weeks to kind of get back up to snuff. So, I mean, I think it's Ford.
What is snuff? I don't know what that is. I'm sure it's from some old timey term, but it just had me thinking like snuff. All right,
Snuff
Todd, someone look that up. Yeah. Todd, who do you think should be picked up first?
Ford. I say snuff. You put there. You put that in the same category, the same word right next to my word, schmidge. I think that's where that word belongs. Is schmidge.
All right,
but yes, but Ford I think is the running back you're going to pick up. I mean, granted, my waiver wire is too low anyway, so I don't care. So I'll just say it anyway. I put a waiver wire in for both those guys, for Ford and Hunt. So, I think you have to, I think you put him for Ford because, like Mike said, we saw him play and, go from there. And like I said, it proves my point. And I'm gonna pat my hand on my shoulder on this one. But running backs, not a dime a dozen.
So
Mikey knows what snuff means. Go ahead. What does it mean?
You're gonna laugh at this. So this goes back to the 1800s. So snuff was a powdered tobacco that you basically inhaled through your nose.
Oh, tobacco
PCP.
through the
Um,
nose.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like
and
PCP.
so up to snuff was basically is meaning that if the tobacco it had to be of good quality or up to required standards to be up to snuff in order to
See?
put it through your nose.
There you go. Learning stuff on the MHA podcast. Love
Yeah.
it.
Learning's
None
fun.
of us do tobacco, but
Yes.
good to know. Not up to snuff.
Those are going to
All
say
right.
PCP. That'd have been funnier.
All right, let's
Okay.
move on from the drugs as Todd's getting. If anybody needs drugs, it's me at 0-2. Lemonhead's running back Saquon Barkley badly twisted his ankle in that final giant drive, I should say, of the game. Luckily, it wasn't a high ankle sprain. The latest I saw today is that he didn't practice, but they're not ruling him out, so could be a chance. Although they play on Thursday, that could be a tough decision to make.
I don't
Ankle
think he's
sprains are
playing.
interesting. I don't think he's going to play either, but they're interesting because, I mean, if it's just a basic ankle sprain and not if he just doesn't run on it for 2 days, he could be okay and they tape it up. But I have a backup plan in case, but I'm just glad it's not for the season like Nick Chubb. More bad news for the Lemonheads, and it's more ankle issues. Joe Burrow tweaked his very late. I didn't even notice when I was watching the game, but apparently he's listed as questionable this week, and he plays on Monday night. So maybe Geno Smith, my backup, ends up in the starting lineup this week. Geez, 0-2. Could be 0-3. Got to play Kilgore Trout. Fun. Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson, although not starting for anybody right now, but he's on the bench of someone's squad. I forget who. But off to a great fantasy start yesterday or Sunday before he knocked his melon on the turf on his second rushing touchdown. He had to go through the concussion protocol and going through all that fun stuff. More concussion news. Raiders wide receiver Devontae Adams suffered a concussion during the later stages of his game. How about another knee injury? David Montgomery, who's been eating up those touchdowns early this year, left his game early. And how about more running back news? Jamal Williams may need a few weeks to heal a tweaked hamstring. We know how fun those hamstring injuries are. And the last thing I saw is Brandon Ayuk was kind of in and out of his game on Sunday due to a left shoulder issue. He was limited in practice today. So a lot of injuries going on up there. Hopefully everybody has options on their bench. Mikey, I hear you chuckling over there.
It was just a mass unit. And you also forgot Jalen Waddle also has a concussion. So
Oh, I missed that. Yeah, I was looking through the NFL. I didn't see that one on there, but there you go. Waddle. Yeah, I guess that was true. I was kind of in and out of watching that game on Sunday night, but concussions happening all over the place. And speaking of concussions, this will be some MHA trivia for Todd Diamond.
Yeah.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
All right. Todd, you ready?
Yeah. Let's do this.
Let me turn this music down a little bit. All right. Cool. Rolling. All right, gentlemen. No cheating.
Okay.
Want to talk about some running backs who did pretty well this weekend. Turn this music down a little bit more. There we go. There were 7 running backs. I want it to go all the way off. Come on, music. Let's get it together. There we go. So, keeps playing off. What's your problem here? So 7 running backs had 20 or more points this past weekend. Can you name them? And we'll start with Todd Diamond. Can you give me a running back that scored more than 20 points?
I'm going to go with Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey. Correct. He had exactly 20 points. Todd picks up a point. Over to you, Miguel.
I'm going to go with my guy, Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, he was pretty good this weekend. Did he have 20 points, though? He had 25, in fact. 121 rush yards and 2 touchdowns. Who got hurt in that game? Was it Ahmed? I forget.
Yeah,
Who's
Ahmed.
the backup running back?
Yeah.
Someone got hurt, and then he got most of the run and looked really good in doing so. So Mostert, big day, 25 points. Back to Todd. We have 2 of the 7 so far. TD.
Unfortunately, against our Broncos, but Brian Robinson.
Brian Robinson is correct. Tied for the lead in terms of running backs for points, 26. 87 rush yards and 18 attempts, 2 touchdowns, had a couple of receptions as well. Big day for Brian Robinson. Boy, that was tough to watch in the second half.
Yep.
Todd picks up point number 2. Back to you, Mr. Renault.
I'm going to go with the guy that did it first on Thursday night and did it to Eric. I'm going to go with DeAndre Swift.
No, that's correct. It was just so wrong. It was so wrong. He did absolutely nothing a week ago. In 26, I didn't watch the game. I was watching live stats. I was doing some work and watching something, probably watching the Orioles, who knows. And he just kept like racking up these yards in like big chunks. 175 yards rushing. I knew Kenneth Gainwell was out. 28 carries. Unbelievable. I hate it. So dumb for a guy that I absolutely loved a couple years ago. Just makes me so mad. Okay, back to Todd. We have 4 of the 7. Who you got?
Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley. Yes, sir. Was fantastic, especially in that second half. They were throwing the ball. It's like they have no receivers, which was why I was excited to pick him up, because he was going to be the featured guy with him and Waller, and had that second touchdown, and then he got hurt. So I'm a little nervous, but that's the type of production. 63 yards rushing, a touchdown, 6 receptions, and another touchdown. So Todd has 3 points. Back over to you, Miguel. Getting tougher.
It is. Why not? I'm just going to guess and say that Jerome Ford guy ended up getting 20 last night.
Jerome Ford, yes, sir. 22 points, 106 yards on 16 attempts, 3 receptions with a touchdown in there as well. So it looked really good against those Steelers, even though the Steelers defense piled up a bunch of points. We'll talk about that later, won't we, Mikey? We sure will. So we are tied 3-3. So that means there is one guy left that has one running back left that had 20 or more points. Todd, can you do it for the win? I believe in you, buddy.
Kareem Williams.
It's Kyron Williams,
Kyron
but I'll
Williams.
give it to you. Good job.
Yay.
Way to go. Kieran Williams, 52 yards rushing on 14 attempts, a touchdown, 6 receptions for a touchdown and 10 targets. And that guy was on my bench. Hooray!
Yeah.
Weekend for
Bench
MHA
points.
trivia. Bench point. Yeah, bench points that don't matter.
I know.
Sorry, Mikey. I'm giving it to Todd. I know you didn't really lose because you got 3 in a row. And I started with Todd, but Todd wins this week in MHA trivia. Congratulate him.
Yeah. Oh,
Nah.
come on. We won, Mikey. Can I get a hell yeah?
Oh.
No, he just said I didn't lose.
Well, I kind of
Mikey,
even
you're
when
the
I win, I
teammate.
can't win.
You get a mercy win.
Oh, that's a little harsh. He got them all right, too, you know.
Fine.
All right, let's go into the week 2
Okay.
recap. We got to go through this show here. We're 13 minutes in. Here we go. Big, deep breath. Okay, in the only matchup that featured 1-0 teams, Kilgore Trout took on Lion Rip. It all started with Joe leaving Kirk Cousins on his bench. Instead, he went with Jared Goff into it, put him in the starting lineup, while Cousins racked up an impressive 67 points on Thursday night. You could hear the tears from Vaccarelli with each completion by Cousins that night. He obviously was texting me after the game. But heading into Sunday, Goff wouldn't reach 67, but he did manage 56. And Bijan Robinson, another solid output from him. 18 points, 124 rush yards, 4 receptions. Trevor Lawrence, not so incredible. Just 30 points for Aaron's squad. And so not much on the offensive side of things for Lion Rip altogether. It was 129-91 win. Vaccarelli improves to 2-0, and Lion Rip falls to 1-1. And we talked about those high-scoring affairs. Even yours truly, who only had 70 points a week ago, had double that this week, or close to, or more than that, a little more than double. But it wasn't enough, as the Belt Sanders defeated Lemonheads 164-145. Allen's squad got 48 total points from DeAndre Swift and TJ Hawkinson on Thursday night to really make Eric's team have to battle from behind. 59 points from Josh Allen really put me in a hole, and I was like, and I kind of just like, well, that's not my week, not a big deal. And then Barkley got going. He had 25 points, 18 from CeeDee Lamb. Although I wish a touchdown would have mattered now, but I was really hoping for him to get a touchdown to kind of put me within striking distance, but it wasn't enough. Kenny Walker had 2 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill reached double figures once again. Belt Sanders 2-0. Lemonheads 0-2. The Butterfingers piled up the points in week 2 and avoided an 0-2 start against the NWA. Only 31 points from starting quarterback Brock Purdy, but had double figures from pretty much everyone else, including 20 from Todd's first-round pick, Christian McCaffrey, as he mentioned, and 20 from Mike Evans, who is loving life with Baker Mayfield. The NWA got an okay day from Jalen Hurts and 44 points, but not much from anyone else. NWA joins the Lemonheads at 0-2, Butterfingers 1-1. They take the victory 139-110. Todd, do you want to say anything quickly about your win this week?
Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Evans, everybody. That dude is balling out.
Get out of here.
He's not lying. He ain't
Well,
lying.
okay, all right. I'm just gonna throw it out here and then I'll shut up.
Okay.
So Minnesota and Chicago are 2 of the worst passing defenses in the league. We'll see how long it lasts. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to be surprised that he's doing anything with Baker Mayfield. One of the worst quarterbacks in the last couple of years.
I'm just saying,
I mean, for him to, I mean, I understand your point, but I mean, he is 3rd in our league in scoring.
Yeah, for now.
So are you telling Todd he needs to trade him before it's too late?
The value's never going to be as high as it was.
Something for Todd to think about. We'll go into the next. I'm sorry, Todd. Anything else you want to say?
I was going to just say with Mike Evans is he's balling out for that contract. I mean, if the Bucks ain't going to give it to him, he's going to ball out and going to get it from somebody else. But yeah, Mike Evans, it's amazing. I mean, I do remember, when we did a podcast post draft or whatever, and and even kind of deny the draft too. I mean, you guys didn't hate the Mike Evans pick, but you're like, well, is Baker going to be able to get the ball down the field? He's getting the ball down the field. Yes. And Mikey, to your point, yes, the passing defenses for both the Bears and the Vikings, not the greatest, but
so in 2 weeks after he has to deal with Darius Slay and Marshawn Lattimore, then come talk to me.
Keep an eye on Mike Evans the next couple of weeks. Close matchup between Chad Powers Fan Club and Notorious CUP. It was 128 to 20. It was 128 to 127 in favor of Miles' team after Sunday. But heading into Monday night game with 2 games left, of course, on Monday night, the Fan Club had Pat Fryermuth, while CUP had Chris Olave and Miles Sanders. Well, Fryermuth had a terrible day. Of course, Kenny Pickett throwing less than 50% or completing less than 50% of his passes. He only caught 1 pass for 1 point. And CUP got what he needed. He got 10 points from Olave, 7 from Sanders, and now both teams are 1-1. Quain picks up the victory, 144 to 129. The defending champs trying to avoid let's try that again. The defending champs trying to avoid going 0-2 here this season, but had to take on the Hot Tamales, who were 1-0 after week 1. The stack of Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen proved to be fruitful, 78 total points between the 2 Chargers, and also got a surprising 25 from Raheem Mostert. But Mikey's team ran into a buzzsaw called Daniel Jones. He scored a whopping 59 points, and then the Tamales got a taste of their own medicine a little bit as Pittsburgh's defense looked pretty good on Monday night, scoring 2 touchdowns and recording 26 points. Gonzo Cat scored a week-high 178 points in the victory. Mikey, what do you want to say about your team this week? Or about the matchup in general, whatever you want to say.
It's just one of those weeks. Like, how can I be mad? Like, I score 150 whatever and lose by 25 points. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yep, big day. Henry and Pollard both had 17 each, so a lot of points from the defending champs. I'm not sure this was the most exciting matchup of the weekend, but it did come down to the final moments of the later Monday night game. Heading into Monday, 1-0 Cooper's Cousins was up 95-53 on 0-1 Eaton W's. Dylan's team had Cleveland's defense, while Kevin had the Saints defense, Najee Harris, and his quarterback. And Deshaun Watson, New Orleans defense was solid with 9 points, but could Deshaun Watson score enough points to keep Eaton W's from going down 0-2 to start the season? Well, Watson looked putrid in this one. Pick 6 to start the game. Watson would complete a few passes, rushed for 22 yards, did throw a touchdown pass, and was creeping up on Dylan, who finished at 102 after the Browns defense scored 7. A completion by Watson in the final drive for the Browns tied things up. And Kevin just needed one more completion or at least 8 yards rushing. Instead, Watson was sacked and the game was over. And how about that magnificent tie, 102 to 102. So there are your the recap. Does of the week. Mikey, I don't know if what you saw or if you noticed anything. There's a couple I noticed. What'd you see?
Well, the only one that
Did
I
you
kind
look?
of, yeah, I mean, the only ones that I
Okay.
kind of really had all involved the Eaton W's and Cooper's Cousins, because like the rest of them were like big enough gaps to where it was like a combination, and so I went with Stafford instead of Watson for Eaton W's.
Yeah, I threw myself in the mix. I mean, I could have. I mean, Geno Smith scored 59, which was quite a few more points than Burrow, and then 25 from Kieran Williams, and Josh Jacobs wasn't great. But would anybody have played those guys? Yes, I know, maybe, whatever. But those two guys had big enough performances that it made a difference. But anytime you have a 102 to 102 tie, any little thing could have mattered, right? Cooper's Cousins left 17 from Thielen or 16 from Gabe Davis. Alexander Madison only had 3, and then you mentioned the Matt Stafford. What do you think, Todd? Out of those 3, what stands out to you as the dough of the week?
I'd probably you would think the Joe Burrow, Geno Smith, but again, you're gonna play Joe Burrow anyway because like okay, he's gonna have a better week, but I'd probably go with the only one I saw was I don't know. It's probably the I don't know. It's so tough because I looked at all of them and I don't really be honest with you. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to pick a dough of the week.
Well, I wouldn't say we call it hard. I think it's just if we go with the tie, who's worse? And I'm not a big Deshaun Watson guy to begin with.
Okay.
And after the way Matt Stafford threw all those passes in week 1, I probably would have started Stafford over Deshaun. I mean, that's just me, though. But I mean, on the other side, Alexander Madison, I know he hasn't been great so far, but neither has Thielen or Gabe Davis.
Yeah,
So-
where are you gonna play either of those two guys? Like,
yeah,
You're not going to play. You're not playing Thielen over Chase. That's for sure. Yeah, I'll go with the Stafford over Watson.
Yeah, and it sounded like Kevin would be okay if we gave it to him, just the way he was talking during the whole thing. But Kevin, you get the dough of the week. All right, and so with that, let's talk about some stars of the week.
The cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
Todd, who stood out to you as one of these stars of week 2?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go with one of my guys.
Of course you are.
Yeah, of course. Mike Evans. This is amazing. It's like an oxymoron because the fact of the matter is you have Baker Mayfield, and again, we probably thought, Baker Mayfield's gonna be the quarterback. It's not gonna work, but him and Mike Evans and him and Baker Mayfield have a good rapport going. So I'll go with Mike Evans. He is balling out. He wants his contract and he's gonna get it. He's gonna get it. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, 6 receptions, 71 yards, and a touchdown. Had 15 points in week 1. So whether it's matchups based or not, he's piling up the points, helping out Todd with the victory. Mikey, who stood out to you in week 2?
like it'd be foolish of me to go with anybody besides Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
And the 59 points is one thing, but he had 9 points at halftime of that game.
Yeah. Yes.
So
50 points in one half of football.
50 points in one half. This was his stat line in the second half. 17 completions, 255 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 58 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. It's just nuts.
Biggest comeback in Giants history against Mikey. 59 points. Daniel Jones, who I don't remember what he had a week before. I think it was under 20. I'm not 100% sure. but for him to pop up and the confidence that Pollen, I don't know if it's confidence or maybe he didn't like the other options that he had, but for him to pop, yeah, he had, let me see here. He ended up having 19 points the week before. So put up 40 more points. I mean, Arizona is bad and Dallas is obviously spectacular, but good for him to stick with him because that might have scared me off. I'm not sure. I could say DeAndre Swift, and I mentioned his stat line and what he did. Was tied for the top running back, considering he caught. He pretty much did nothing the week before. I mean, I've always believed in what he was capable of in terms of, you know, rushing the ball, catching the ball. Obviously, with Jamal Williams there, we didn't get to see what his touchdown capability is. But I mean, they gave him the full workload. I mean, you saw Boston. Was that right? What's his name? What's that
Boston
dude?
Scott.
Boston Scott. Thank you. Like when he was a backup and he came in and he ran really well too. Obviously, Philadelphia has a great offensive line, and in that shootout type of format, he was able to put up 175 rush yards. Was astonishing to me. Todd, another star that stood out.
Tyler Lockett, 22
Sure.
points. Obviously that Seattle offense looking pretty good, and Tyler Lockett 2 touchdowns, 59 yards in the game. Obviously, you want a little bit more yardage there, but 2 touchdowns, you'll take it. So Tyler Lockett, that's again, I wasn't I'm not a big Tyler Lockett fan anyway, but yeah, that's pretty good, especially in for your second wide receiver, or excuse me, in your
It was third.
third. Sorry,
His
in his
guy.
flex. Yeah, that's if you get that many points out of your flex position, regardless, good on you.
I mean, I am a Tyler Lockett guy, and Joe got him in both leagues that I play. I was
Really?
kind of
Really?
disappointed in that. And I have to play Joe in the other. I played Joe last weekend, and he had 22 points against me, and then now I got to play Joe in this week against Tyler Lockett. Fun stuff, to say the least. Mikey, another star from week 2.
So I'm staying with Pollen, and I'm going with T. Higgins, who had 24. And
Yeah.
again, this seems to be the recurring theme with this, but he had 2 points at the half. Second half, 22 points. He had 6 catches for 72 yards and 2 touchdowns in the second half. Like, I kept feeling throughout the day, like, oh, I'll be okay. My guys are doing well, and then his guys would just explode, and then that's what happened.
Definitely. I mean, Joe Burrow, what did he have, Mikey? 35 yards passing at the half?
Yeah,
Something like that. Joe Burrow, you son of a. My last star, I'll talk about Dettori CUP and Brian Robinson Jr. I mean, we kind of mentioned before. I mean, Quayne lost J.K. Dobbins, and so he had to start him this week, and boy, they rewarded him for it as well, and just kind of sliced up that Broncos defense, and that was kind of a second half fiasco if you're a Broncos fan. And Robinson was a huge reason for that. And I know we didn't get to see the full extent of Robinson last year and didn't play until really late in the season. I mean, he was what round was he drafted in? Todd, do you know that off the top of your head?
Who?
Brian Robinson.
Brian Robinson.
First 3 rounds, right?
No, he was drafted in the 5th round. Fifth round.
Well, maybe he didn't have the pedigree that I thought he came up with. I thought he was going to be one of the more highly touted running backs coming out of the college pick. So 98th overall. Yeah, 3rd round. So he was taken late last year, and coming off the injury, and then we didn't know what to expect. And now he comes out, and he looks pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a good pickup there by CUP. And so anybody else have any other stars, or should we go on to the duds?
Let's go to the duds.
To the duds.
This is the worst. You are the worst. I hate looking at your face. I want to smash it.
Mikey, whose face did you want to smash in week 2?
I'm going with Najee Harris.
No kidding.
5
both
points.
the starting running backs, really.
5 points on 44 yards rushing. It's his second consecutive week with only 5 points.
Yeah.
And for somebody that was drafted in the 3rd round It just it's a struggle right now for Najee Harris.
Ain't that the truth? And just kind of piggybacking off yours, I mean, Damian Pierce, 2 bad weeks in a row, which is also eating W's. Guy that he drafted as well. And so not going well for those starting running backs. Todd, who was a dud?
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with the defense. Actually, man, New York Jets defense -1. Yeek. You want your defense like you want a high score for your defense, of course, but the most or the less you'd accept, would be like maybe like around 7 or 8 or 9, maybe if you can help it toward the end of the game. But ooh, -1, -1. That's when you have negative in front of the number. And granted, it's the defense, but still, ooh, that's rough. That's rough, especially against Dallas and the way
Dallas
Dallas
has got a good offense, right?
Yeah. So then why then and the Jets defense, it's I mean, yes, they have Sauce Gardner, but I still wouldn't play that defense against the Cowboys. This is the way they're playing. No way. So that's pretty bad.
Are the Jets falling apart?
I-
I feel like there's a lot of social media stuff going on. I feel
Well,
like there's some unhappiness. Obviously, I was talking to a Jets fan today, asking him about, is Zach Wilson any good? And he straight up said no. Like, for a young guy who's athletic and was highly drafted, like there almost seems like there's no hope. And I wonder if that's filtering off to the rest of the team as well.
They want to go back to the good old days of Hard Knocks.
Good series, but it has not translated well into the season. I mean, Jets defense had 24 points a week ago, just a bad week against Dallas.
Yeah,
who knows?
But -1 though, oof. You don't want negative in any.
Dallas is for real.
Dallas is for real. Well, it's interesting. They said who's for real more, Dallas.
I don't know if you talk to Todd, they couldn't beat CU, but whatever. No one can beat CU. You're a Todd Diamond. One of my duds. I could have went a couple different directions, but I thought Trevor Lawrence kind of had a measly day. 22 completions, no passing touchdowns. I mean, he made Christian Kirk look great that day, which gave me hope for the future. But he had a measly 30 points. Had 45 points a week ago. Last year had 8 games where he had 255 or more passing yards. He has 0 so far this year. He does have Houston next week, but even then, Houston's on a team that gives up big points to quarterbacks because usually the game's over by halftime and they're just running out the ball in the second half. But Trevor Lawrence did not do Aaron any favors here this week. Any other duds, Miguel?
Yeah, Kyle Pitts. Like, are we done with the hype train yet? Like,
I've been seeing all over Twitter that they show like his routes and he's wide open, but he just never gets a look from the quarterback.
2 points on 2 catches. He's got 6 total points in the first 2 weeks.
Oh man,
are we done yet? Like with him?
Are we done? Are we done? I think we're done, Mikey. I think we're done.
I don't know. He's still. I mean, what are you gonna do? Drop him? Who are you gonna drop him for?
I don't know. Tight
Anybody?
But
anyone?
Will Disley's out there.
There you
He's
go.
got 5 catches for 52. Todd, any other duds you got?
I'm gonna go with because this is just proving my point that Aaron Jones is the best running back. AJ Dillon, man, only 6 points. Like I thought this was gonna be the game. I was a little nervous. Like, oh man, AJ Dillon's gonna be the guy that's gonna, in this game. Only 6 points. He's bad. He's bad. It's gross. It's bad, and I'm happy on that one because it just proves that Aaron Jones is the best fucking running back on the team. Shit.
Jeez, I gotta bleep out a couple things here.
That's right, but no, but
show.
You would
like
think
Aaron Jones is a part of your family.
Jones is good. Aaron Jones is not
AJ
good.
Dillon is trying to take food out of Todd's mouth.
I know, but it just. I really thought AJ Dillon, this was gonna be like really like a big breakout game for him. Like this was gonna really be his opportunity, and it wasn't. It wasn't.
I agree with you. He was
Okay.
my other dud.
AJ Dillon.
Yeah, that was my
Okay.
other dud. I mean, just for the reasons you said,
Yeah.
you look at, and a lot of their points came off of passing touchdowns. But I thought for sure that he would show his ability, because we saw what he could do 2 years ago, and when he was kind of 50-50. And then we went into last year's draft thinking, oh, AJ Dillon needs to be drafted higher, and he's younger. They're going to push Aaron Jones out, and Aaron Jones has proved otherwise the last year, and then what he was able to do in week 1 here this year. So yeah, that was my other dud as well. The only other one I'll say, and I'm not too concerned about it coming from my team, but Josh Jacobs hasn't looked great. -2 rushing yards this past weekend, but he's still highly involved in the mix, and he's still catching passes. So not super concerned, but the first 2 weeks, and he's had tougher defenses as well. Buffalo last week. Better days ahead for Josh Jacobs.
Hopefully.
I feel confident.
Well,
Go ahead.
I saw a stat today that was kind of interesting. He has 28 rushing attempts, and they said like his longest, like he's had like at least like 7 attempts of 0 yards, and his longest rush is 7. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe missing all that training camp.
Well, that was going to be my next statement, is that he's going through preseason right now, which is not the best way to do it. You can work out on your own when you're not showing up at the facility, but he'll get going. Pittsburgh looks like they give the most rushing yards or most fantasy points to running backs. We'll see how that goes on Sunday night. And it has some good matchups coming up. So we'll see. If he doesn't do well in those matchups, then it's time to panic. Next week's matchups, the 2-0 Belt Sanders will look to go 3-0 against the 1-1 Hot Tamales. The 1-1 Butterfingers will face off against 1-0-1 Cooper's Cousin. A couple of 1-1 teams will battle it out in week 3. Gonzo Cats versus Lion Rip. 1-1 Chad Powers Fan Club taking on 0-1-1 Eaton W's. And 2 teams are in desperate need of a win, and that's yours truly, taking on 2-0 Kilgore Trout. Oh my God, could I be an 0-3? And NWA, they go toe-to-toe with notorious CUP. Time to panic? Anybody ready to panic? I'm panicking.
Well, I mean, I'm sure.
Where's that
too.
snuff at?
Like,
Hook me up with some of the snuff.
I'm sure, Eric, you can talk to G. He's got some extra quarterbacks, I think.
I don't think quarterback's my problem.
Quarterback, no? I mean, you want Joe Burrow to put up more than 45 points a game.
Well, for sure. I mean,
But-
it's definitely...
45 is not bad.
It's not bad. It's not the worst.
No.
And even if he's injured this week and doesn't play, I have Geno Smith against Carolina.
All right.
So we'll see. I just need him to perform better. Joe Burrow is a great quarterback. Josh Jacobs is a great running back.
Right. Yeah.
And then to get Barkley, I don't know if you saw the capabilities of Barkley.
Mm-hmm.
He's fantastic. Christian Watson's, I think he's going to be good in that seems to be flying Green Bay offense these days. So if he comes back and ready to play, I'm excited to put him in the lineup. And I'm always looking to trade. Looking around, see what people have, and trying to buy low on people. I've been looking around, see what's out there. How are you guys feeling? You feel good about your team, Miguel?
Yeah, I've been above 150 in both weeks.
All
So,
right. Jesus.
1-1.
So full of yourself.
Like, yeah, but I mean, why would I be panicking?
I'm not saying are you panicking? I said you'd like your team.
Oh,
and
yeah.
obviously you do.
Yeah.
You're jerking off to it right now. I can hear it.
Hey, you have to bleep that out.
Jerking off?
I don't know. No, but I like my team though. It's just seems like
You sound so confident.
I do.
Well,
Yeah.
if anybody needs to trade for a quarterback, it's Todd, but I think he knows that.
Well,
Yeah, Todd. Do you,
I mean,
you gonna trade for a quarterback?
you want to just
I mean, 31, it's good for Purdy, yeah, just saying.
in a win, no less. The
Yeah.
49ers won that game.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, so I mean, yes, to want Purdy to score more than like 31 points. I think what they did, they took a touchdown away from him or something because it was the Deebo Samuel one, and maybe they thought it really was like a handoff or something because I was at like he was at like 37 points or something, and then they took it away. So I don't know if that Deebo Samuel touchdown was a rush or something, but
Wouldn't have mattered. It would have been under 40 points.
I don't know, I mean closer to 40.
So you're saying you feel confident in Brock Purdy?
I do for the moment. Now I will say this. Now, granted,
39
obviously-
points a week ago, 31 points this week.
Hey, but we talk about this in the off season too. When you're drafting your team, you want to draft a good overall team. So if Purdy can, maybe get to 40, maybe at least 40, and then the rest of my team, performs well again. I mean, then it's fine. I mean, Evans and McCaffrey put up 40 points between them. I mean, my defense, for God's sakes, put up 17 points. Now, granted, they're not going to play the Bears every single week, but that's something. And I think too, if now maybe Drake London finally getting a touchdown, that'll open, get him going a little bit more too. Because I mean,
What I really want to know is which tight end are you going to pull out of the hat this time? Who scored a touchdown?
Well, I actually put in a waiver for a tight end that didn't score a touchdown, but I'm just banking on just the fact of the offense that he's in. They at least maybe get some volume. So I did put in a waiver in for a new tight end.
I know which tight end it is.
Who is it?
Zach Ertz.
No.
Oh, it's not Zach Ertz. Okay, you don't have to say. I was just guessing.
Yeah, no. I'll tell you because I mean it doesn't. I mean,
I guess by the time people listen to this, it'll already gone through.
It'll be
unless I put it out tonight.
Okay, well, put it out tonight. I ain't scared. I'm not scared. No, it's the Green Bay tight end that Luke.
Musgrave.
Musgrave. Yeah.
Why?
Well, just the way that
5 points, then 3 points. Am I reading that right?
Yeah.
You're picking up a guy that had 2 receptions this past weekend?
Hey, Hurts didn't do
against
anything.
New Orleans. Pretty stout defense.
We'll see.
He said, "Well, if Hurts should have dominated New Orleans, so now I'm going to go right after New Orleans again."
Hey, I mean, Hurts is playing against Seattle. That's going to be continue. Hey, and the fact too that Josh Reynolds guy, I mean, he had 2 touchdowns. Woo. I almost was going to play him instead of Drake London.
Can he play tight end?
Let's see if he's.
That's a no, Todd.
I know. Come on, we can tweak some things in the system there. So.
Oh, sure we can. Sure.
I know, but hey, if I have to play this game with tight ends, then I'm okay with that. The rest of my team does well, then I'll be okay. Just like you say, Mikey, tight end is just one position. Just like you say with saves in baseball. If everybody else is overachieving and getting 20 plus points, who needs a tight end?
Oh boy!
Yep. Here he comes.
Oh God! Dang it, Mikey! I'm agreeing with you. One of your points there, and you're like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, come on!
I'm just saying, you're relying on 20 points a week from Mike Evans. It's hilarious to me. But hey, your team.
Well, I'm getting Aaron Jones back this week too. So
are you?
Hopefully.
You put him in his lineup as if he is.
Well, I mean, he obviously knew last week he was playing, so maybe he has a new source.
Well, hopefully he comes back. Okay, all right.
Fantasy football.
Isn't it magical?
No,
Okay.
I ain't feeling any magic.
I know. So how many waivers did you put in then, Eric?
I ain't telling.
Okay.
Trying to win.
I know. Don't blame me. I'd be like, yeah, I'm trying to win too if I was 0-2 too. So you know, that's what it is. Yeah, come on. Yeah,
Well done.
there we go.
Well done.
Hey, come on. With the whole Aaron Rodgers thing last week, come on. I got to get me something. That wasn't just a fantasy football or regular NFL sports news. That was like regular news. They put that like on NBC nightly news. Like that was like you thought the sky was falling. Like, come on. Can't panic. That's why I drafted Christian McCaffrey. So, like, this dude is everything. As long as he doesn't have to play quarterback, we're good. We're good.
All right. Well, I guess that'll end our show. Heading on to week 3.
Yeah.
Some of us are trying to get our first win. Some are trying to get our second win.
Yes,
Well, guys, thanks for coming on. We'll see what happens next week. Maybe the Broncos will pick up a win. We're not going to hold our breaths. So for Todd Diamond, Mikey Renault, I'm Eric Lansing. We'll see you next time on the MHA podcast.